Hi, team. Welcome to 10 Talks, another conversation all about how women win. And today is going to be a fun journey because we've got someone that I met many, many years ago and then just getting to reconnect today. So such a gift, Linda. Very excited to have you on, and what a journey you have been on. So absolutely love to have you. And team, we'd love to hear your journey about how women win your way. So if you want to find out more information, go to howwomenwin.com. So Kathy, introduce our guest today.
Yeah, today we have Linda Hampton-Keith with us. And I met Linda, I think maybe even before you did, Carlette. So I win. How women win.
We'll give you the W.
I knew her first. As a member and a contributor to the AVCA diversity group, and also as a member of the AVCA board of directors. And my experience of you, Linda, is that you were very intentional about your career. You knew where you wanted to go. You knew what were the steps you needed to take to do though, to get there. You took those steps. And you took your time to learn what you needed to learn. And so I'm going to turn it back to Carlette because I'm going to go into telling your story, and that's not my role. I want you to tell your story. Now the head coach at Temple University as of about 3 months.
Oh gosh, not even that long.
Not even that long.
Not even
so,
that, but yes.
Yeah. So
feels like 5 minutes, to be honest. But
it
yes.
feels like 5 minutes. So tell us how you got from there to here.
Yeah, Linda, just tell us really just the power of your story. We'd love to hear and be on the journey with you.
Sure. Like Kathy mentioned, we met a long time ago, and Carlette, I had the fabulous honor of crossing paths and getting to know you during my time in Arizona. And so to just kind of lay the foundation of kind of, I guess, going backwards, right? Or I've spent I obviously just got here to Temple not so long ago, sometime in January when I actually came, and then before that actually was just at Louisville for the season, had a great, wonderful opportunity to be there. And obviously that's a big part of my story, coming back. So as I'm going backwards, I'll come back forward again, right? So it was just there for that season, and was not coaching during most of 2020 and half of 2021, was out, for a little while. Not quite sure where I was going to go and what I was going to do. Had a lot of thinking time, as we all did. 2020 brought lots of different challenges to everyone. And so wasn't coaching there for a little bit. Obviously was a head coach at North Carolina State for about 4 years. And before that had come from Arizona State, where I was first assistant and recruiting coordinator there for about 5 years. And I'll share kind of why the years kind of matter now that I'm reflecting back. But I was there for about 5 years. Before that, I was at TCU in Fort Worth. I was there for about 6 years, 6 seasons. And then, kind of before that I would consider kind of the beginning of my career right before TCU, where I was, North Texas as a GA for like all of a semester, and then before that was at Florida International for 2 years while I finished my degree. So I was technically a student assistant for 2 years. And I share like why the years, because I think now, especially now being where I'm at, looking back, right, it's very typical for assistants to kind of bounce maybe 1-2 years here. And I really stayed. I was at, again, TCU for 6 years, which was really a good percentage of my career. And then another 5 years at Arizona State, which is another pretty big percentage of my career. And to really be able to invest, and, again, now looking back from as a head coach, going through as assistants, as I'm building my career, I thought that was really, it's important. And it may be a little rare. I don't know, assistants don't, especially, they just don't typically stay that long. And I thought those experiences and being invested in a program for a pretty good long time really kind of helped shape me as a coach, and being able to really, again, just submerge myself in those programs and really, hopefully, in my I would like to think I impacted in a positive way, right? And so I think that was really, that's a really key part of my journey.
Linda,
So
did you always know that you wanted to be a head coach?
Yes. So I think I had this moment. So I started off as a high school coach. I was a high school coach, club, and I kind of had this moment, and I had this moment of, because I also share too that I only played 1 year of college volleyball. I actually didn't like it. I quit. I was like, I'm done. I don't like volleyball anymore.
So tell us why. Walk us through that. The moment, I think, is really something I'd like to hear about.
I played again. My high school experience was very positive. And so I was like, oh, this will be fun to extend this. And so, in the 90s, this is back when, we didn't do internet stuff. Like, we're literally typing out your recruiting letter and connecting a picture to it, and you're sending it off in the mail, and you're seeing what you can get. And so I ended up staying pretty local, went to a JUCO, and then had this experience and was like, yeah, I don't like this anymore, and it all comes down to like your, how you process that experience, right? So I went from this pretty good experience in high school, and now I wasn't having that great experience, and I couldn't even tell you it was the specific volleyball. It was just, hey, this isn't a great environment. It's not great, it's, so I kind of even then knew, I was like, I just would rather not do it. And so I just stopped, and it was fine with, like, volleyball wasn't a huge part of my life at that time. So I was done and moving on with life. And, and at the time, my sisters were just starting to get installed. So I'm a pretty good different distance between myself and my sisters. And they were, little kids starting to play club. They needed coaches. So I started coaching. Why not? I know volleyball. Sure, I'll do it. No intention of, just something for fun. And then just started kind of growing from there. And finally, probably, fast forward to now they're middle school, high school age. Now I'm a high school coach. Now I'm coaching them in high school. and now we're having some success. And so I'm still very young, maybe 20, 21, maybe. And so I take over a high school program. My sisters are part of this program. We go to Final Fours. We win state championships. And now I'm like, oh, now it has my attention, right? So we're being successful. It's really fun and enjoyable, and I really enjoyed. And so now I kind of like, well, let me think back on this college thing again, and how fun would that be, and how enjoyable, and and you get to recruit, like, that's really what, like, not just, hey, you coach who just is at your school. Now it's like you can go out and find people to come play for this. Sounds amazing. And so that was the thing that I connected, I think, the most with college coaching, was the idea and the opportunity to recruit and to build relationships, and like, oh, this sounds really, really amazing. And so opportunity came. I was, at the time I'm coaching high school, I'm also still in college, going to school about one class at a time, whatever I could afford at that semester, and just kind of plodding my way very slowly through college without not really necessarily a great plan to finish. The opportunity came where, my mentor at the time, Cookie Stevens, who was at Florida International at the time as a head coach, had an opportunity to be a student assistant that would help pay for my undergrad, finish school, pay a little bit of a stipend, and start my college coaching career. And that's how I transitioned from high school to college, the college game. And once I made that decision, I knew, I was like, the intention was to be a head coach. I didn't know how long it was going to take. I don't know if I knew it was going to take this long, but I was with the intention to be a head coach. But with the knowledge that I had a lot to learn. So that started my journey. So yes, I did always want to be a head coach. And as I got into it and understood the landscape of college volleyball and college athletics in general, I even changed that very specifically to, I want to be a coach at a well-resourced, I think, maybe back then we called it BCS or whatever that school, what we would say now as a Power 5 or
Right.
Yeah, the highest
Yeah.
level with the most resources, right? And I grew up in Gainesville with Mary Wise as a, right as in my front windshield, right, to see how that program developed. And my sister eventually played there, and so I think that was something that was always a model in front to always kind of look to, is here's this program, dynamic female leader, well resourced. These are the things you can do with that. And I
When
think
you're recruiting young women, are you looking now? Are you asking some questions? Are you looking now at who's going to be a good fit for who you are and who they are?
100%. I think that the one of the greatest gifts, I'll talk about my Louisville experience, which was, amazing. And it was something that totally, I went in with one thought or one expectation, and I came out with something totally different. But it was what I needed. And so, you go in, I'm like, Kathy, again, you fielded those calls of like, I don't know if I want to do this anymore. I don't know if I can. What do I do? How's this? This is so, this is really tough. And so my initial expectation was, hey, here's this opportunity. I'm going to go in and like, here's this great chance to contribute to this program and help. And, maybe I could do some drills or whatever it is with the coaching, and, have that conversation of how I thought I could contribute and how maybe they thought I could contribute. And I got something completely and 100% different out of it and it was what I really, really needed. And that was, I went in and turns out when you're not losing matches at all, you don't really do anything too different, right? You're just
it's not broken. Don't get in there.
You're not trying to fix anything.
Don't go in there and break it.
Right. So, so there was, in my mind, I'm like, oh, we're going to do this and we're going to improve these things and we're going to do this thing. And here's maybe this my chance. And then when, like, I don't know, 4 weeks in, I'm like, I'm just going to shut up. Not gonna say anything. I mean, I'm gonna help. I can, I'm picking up on the language of the gym and the vernacular, and then, using, I'm helping in that way. But what really happened that I didn't expect, but I absolutely needed, was to create and develop wonderful relationships with the athletes, and to go in and be able to create, safe relationships with them in a way that, and again, I'm not the head coach, right? I'm not the one making decisions now. I can go in and just be myself, have great relationship with the athletes, and really connect. Had actually someone just texted me today, like just saying, hey, thought of you, I'm in Turkey playing. And, and like, so that was, and I didn't know I needed that, but I needed that.
Linda, when you went through that as you were a volunteer coach, right?
Yes.
In that position where you really had just the gift of loving on them and healing. Yeah. I love that they were a healer for you. I mean, what a beautiful combination for both of you. Are you going to be able, or I'm sure you're bringing part of it, but intentionally, how do you want to take that relationship code, if you created that you were able to do now with the power of head coaching? How are you going to bring that learning together?
I think it's impacted me in a way, clearly, hopefully positively. Hindsight 2020, and really stepping back and having this new experience and this gift from Louisville and the gift from Danny and the opportunity to be there and go through that, and the gift that all of those athletes. I mean, you were talking about that, Carlette, and I'm literally like, I'm having a moment where I'm like, we're in the locker room and the season's over and we're all bawling, and it's, what the athletes even said, they were like, this is so much, like, look at what we're doing, like we're impacting people. And I was like, I'm in, like this experience, like I'm back in, like I'm in this. And and had I not had that experience, I wouldn't have been able to say that, and feel that way. So how, to move forward, I think now it's like all the pieces of the puzzle, you're trying to put it back together again. And, to get that piece of the puzzle of like the athletes and this connection, but also to put it in the piece of the puzzle of the leadership example that Danny showed through all of that. And to understand, like, to watch her negotiate her role as a head coach in this amazing, clearly this the one season is the sum total of a lot of work that happened way before I got there. But I get there this moment and get to see this little, just kind of watch this all unfold. The big picture as a head coach and as a leader, to see all that was, gosh, you just don't get that lesson. You don't buy that lesson. You just, you're very fortunate that you get to watch it and to be a part of it and kind of see all this unfold in front of you and go, okay, there's a lot of lessons here. There's a lot of lessons here. And so I think that's, to be able to put all those pieces of the puzzle back and hopefully now carry that forward into somewhat of a whole picture and to draw from, is again, just such a gift and such an opportunity for me to be better, to do better, to create, but also to not only be better myself, but also be better for myself.
Now, how are you going to be better for you? What does that mean?
I think that means, making sure that there's the saying that, right, if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. And just making sure that I understand what I stand for, and that there's a kind of going back to that, what we talked about earlier, which is you gotta, really, you gotta know who you are truly. And then as you're learning and growing and changing, that there's some things that you're not going to either do or not do, right? Like that you have a steady path, you have a kind of a true north, if you will, and your compass is there. And yeah, you're going to learn and change and grow, but your compass should be always headed north.
Yeah, beautiful stories. And thank you just for your strength and vulnerability. I mean, what a gift for us to be able to go inside the pain and inside really the truth, and also just be right beside you as we come out and start a brand new season. And I think you've demonstrated beautifully how women win our way, is that it's anchored in truth. We own who we are. We can be emotional. We can be tender. We can be strong. We can be all of these things. We can be hurt. And, you've just done such an intentional investment in you to be like, no, this is what matters to me, taking a volunteer job, having the gift of just being a contributor and learning. And, I think that's very much how women win, is that we stay on course for what matters to us in a way that's really, what I'm valuing so much about, Linda, about this conversation is that it's very like heart led rather than hurt led. I'm just making that up, so it's not something.
Sounded pretty good.
Yeah, but so I mean, like when I think about your heart, it's like we are on the other side. You have had a lot of healing. I know Kathy, was right there for you. There's been a lot of people to love and support you through an authentic grieving and pain and everything that happens, when we get hurt. And then you were able to re-enter and see what it felt like. I'm just so grateful we kept you in sport. I mean, that's another thing Kathy and I are on mission to do, is how do we keep women, coming back and learning, and you're demonstrating it. And, so sometimes when we come back with a hurt heart. And so we're more in that hurt people, or kind of proving something. It's got a much different tone to it. And I'm just excited to support you and be on this journey and watch how you're getting to come back at it with your heart healed and ready to just love on people and also compete. That's what's beautiful.
Yeah. And I think that's what's so amazing to me. I think, again, is we, like you said, just how women win, and that we can be all of those things, right? We can, and they're all strengths in some way, that we can make them into strengths as well. That, we can cry, and that's fine. And it doesn't mean we're weak. It means that we're processing, and we move on and we move forward, and, we get through those processes and come out better for them and stronger. Or we can have tough conversations, and it's not, personal, it's, and so we can have and do and be all of those things, and move forward in a way that is, from a place of strength and a place of compassion and all of those things. I think that's, how women win, is just, that's part of it, right? Is that we in ourselves embrace all of that as strengths, and we embrace all that, and that we accept that of ourselves and accept that from others as well. I think that's right. And I think, sometimes we can be our own worst critics sometimes. And so I think, making sure that we, again, I've had many conversation and have met many other coaches that have gone through similar things or are experiencing similar, just complications that, and that we understand, like, okay, let's like we can manage it. And if we can't, or if we aren't, or we're not in a good space, then, we always have options. Maybe we've got other options to go in, other directions to go in as well. So yeah, so I appreciate that. And I'm very grateful and looking forward to being a better coach and moving forward and have a new team, and they're eager to learn, and it's fun being in the gym and fun being in this role again. And always from a place of like, I've always had a pretty big, it's just an enormous awareness of the responsibility that this is. And again, it's not like it's getting easier, it's only getting more complicated, and the responsibility is only getting heavier. But we're equipped to do it. We can do it. But we do need support, right? And we need support. We need support of each other. We need the support of where we are, the environment we're in, and we need the support of just our loved ones, our friends, our loved ones, all of
Our
it.
support team, right? We definitely need that support team. It's so valuable.
Absolutely.
Kathy, words of wisdom.
Well, I don't know if it's wisdom so much as it's just, one of the things that women do, stereotype alert, generalization alert, is, the more that you care, the more you open yourself up to pain. And, the choices, once you're hurt, almost the natural choice, which I think was something that happened to you, it's happened to me, is that you go, oh, okay, I'm not going there again. I don't want to feel that pain again. And the only way to not feel the pain again is to not care as much. And
to leave something that you love.
And it seemed to me what Louisville was for you as a healing process was to let you again be all in where you were maybe when you first went to NC State, all in with these women, all in with what you were doing. And that will be your greatest strength going into Temple, is again opening yourself up to that pain.
Yeah, I think so. And I think, again, I can't say enough the example, of being in a program, being led by a woman, going to the Final Four, watching that unfold, watching her lead through that, in a way, because, and I'll take this back to relate it to my experience as I'm coming into that experience, right? I'm coming from this experience where, again, maybe for 2 years I was unapproachable. I went from being unapproachable to that. And looking back as I look back, and if I try, and we empathize and we put ourselves in other people's shoes, I can see how that could be confusing, right? Like, so if I am trying to correct, so if I usually tell the story of, like, I went from, hey, athletes don't feel like they can come to you, like, you're unapproachable or whatever. And okay, well then I'll go be approachable. Right. So I went from, okay, how do I solve this? This is how I'm being perceived. How do I change that? How do I fix that? So I go every Monday. Every Monday I'd go, okay, well, I'm going to go and sit and work in the afternoon on Mondays at the Starbucks. And if anyone wants to drop in, they can. So now I'm at Starbucks, right? Get out of the office, right? Like, that's right. That's the thing. It's people don't want to come to the office because it feels like you're going to the principal's office. So I got out of the office. Now I'm approachable, and I don't know how well that worked. to be honest,
I don't
right?
think it's Starbucks that's the answer.
Right. And so I think like, but how maybe now looking back, is that confusing? Is that now, right? Like now I'm this leader, I'm making tough choices, and and again, they don't need to know all of it. And as long as, and I've got assistants and I've got all, like, and I go to Louisville and I watch, and again, Danny is who she is every day, all day. Like she's consistent. She's very, and there is a respect for that, right, on everybody's part, the athletes, the staff, and so I think there was a lesson there for me as well of like, just be who you are and be consistently who you are. And I think I was trying to like, okay, well, I'm going to fill these gaps. I'm going to try to go fill these gaps. And I think one of the lessons is like, as you're trying to, again, it kind of goes back to this. It's one thing to grow and learn and adapt. I think it's another to change and accommodate, right? Because those are two different things. And so I think, I don't know if the answer, like you said, I don't know if the answer is Starbucks, but I do think, how, if we can be consistent, and so now if it looks inconsistent, now do we trust that?
Just confusing.
Yeah. And so I do think that was, again, such a gift, such a lesson, and such a wonderful, like, again, Danny's ability to lead and be consistent through, okay, again, winning is fun.
Yeah.
And not dropping a game until the end is very great.
It's more fun, yeah.
Right. But it clearly, you're managing, week to week to week to week in this pressure, right?
Mm-hmm.
This, whether it's internal, external, whatever, everyone's expectations, all of those things, you're having to manage that, and you have to manage that for yourself. You have to manage it with your staff. You have to manage it with your team. And so to watch her do that again was incredible, and such a lesson again on being consistent.
Well, Linda, this has just been such a gift, and team, it's up to you now. Go out and win your way, how women win. Some great words of wisdom that I just got from Kathy, be all in. I think that's such a place of strength for women to really be able to consistently be ourselves and be all in. And, Linda, what a gift you've given us. So thank you, Linda. Greatly appreciate just this moment in time we got to share with you.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Kathy. As always, it's a gift to be on this journey with you. And team, it's up to you. Go out and win your way. We'd love to hear from you. You can go to howwomenwin.com. Thank you.